Well, welcome out there once again to my program. Always a pleasure to be here and always a pleasure to have you out there. I've got the panel show, and I'm going to tell you, I've got some experts on this program you wouldn't believe. I mean, they bring me the news before it even happens. You ever watch TV at night at 6 o'clock? They're going to tell you what the news is at 11 o'clock. That's amazing. I always wonder if they have a crystal ball that at 6 o'clock they can tell you what the news is going to be at 11 o'clock. Well, I've got people here that are much better than that. They know the city of Fall River inside out, and as you know, we just had a special election. We have a new mayor sitting in the office, and well, people think he's off to a rough start. My panelist is going to give us an idea of what's going on at the city level at this time and some of the new things that have come about. So, welcome, CJ. Glad to have you back. Where have you been?
Everywhere. Everywhere and nowhere. It's always interesting to be in the Fall River, what I want to call the forestry, to see and hear things that nobody else wants to see or hear. That's
well,
for sure.
You sure do.
Yeah, well, you know, who do you call me? Jack who?
Jack Anderson.
That's
You're
it.
Jack Anderson of Fall River. Jack Anderson, who was a very famous journalist, columnist, and well, some people liked him and
Some people
some
don't.
people didn't. Bob, how's things going?
Well, you know, just calendar changes, but Fall River seems to be pretty consistent. Always news in Fall River. It's a
Isn't that
pleasure to
true?
be here.
We're
Isn't
going
that
to get
true?
into. I understand you have a new group that you're putting together. We're going to get into that. And Dan, are you out there?
Well, we got to bring Dan on from the phone. Dan, are you there?
Okay, he's going to come on.
We can't hear you, Dan.
Not yet. He's going to come on shortly. Okay, so let's start off with what's been going on in the mayor's office. The mayor.
I don't know. It just sounded like he clicked in. Danny, are you there?
Okay, I'll take care of it.
There he is.
Okay, we'll get to him
Yep.
in a second. But the new hires in the mayor's office. As people out there probably know, the mayor has hired, or he wants to hire, a couple of people. And, well, there's been some controversy about the two people he wants to hire. What's the news on that, CJ?
Well, accordingly, the Committee on Ordinances tabled this issue.
And that was tonight.
Yep. So, sounds like Danny's there now. But accordingly, I mean, they tabled it. And I think that, you know...
Hello?
Hello?
Okay, Dan, we
You
got...
hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
You're on the air. We can hear you. Hold on, Dan. We spoke about this today. Chip was on the radio yesterday.
1 minute call back.
And it was
Hold on.
interesting, to say the least.
Can Dan hear me? You'll have to get that. We get a little technical difficulty. Dan Robillard, who is usually in the studio, is home. He couldn't make it today, but we're going to try to get him patched in by telephone. So, in the booth, they're going to work on it. But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, and these were obvious patronage positions. You know.
Okay, what do you mean by patronage?
These were political paybacks. Both the people for these jobs came from the district attorney's office, and the one thing right that Sam did in regards to these positions was he sent it over to the city council first. But at the same time, he snubbed his nose at the city council because he turned around and these people are already working for the city and they're earning a paycheck as independent contractors.
Independent
because the mayor has
contractors.
the authority to enter into contracts with anyone he wants.
So, in other words, Bob, it sounds as though that he's got these people, as CJ says, already on a payroll as independent contractors, and he just wants to bring them in officially under the city payroll with all the benefits that it entails versus a contractor?
Yeah, well, I guess it's kind of putting the cart before the horse. I mean, he's already hired him, and now he wants basically the blessing of the city council. It smacks almost of the way they
But as
circumvented the city council with the
But as
with the
independent
trash.
contractors, they would not be entitled to a pension. They're not gonna be entitled to any of the healthcare system.
That's
So, in other words, if they come in as official city employees, then they get all that additional.
Yeah, but it
benefit.
also shows, it also shows the fact that he's taken a position that I don't care if you really want these positions, we're getting them anyway.
Does that sound
Whether-
as pay as you throw?
Yeah, it sounds like when he didn't want to go, like when Mayor Flanagan didn't want to go before the council because he was afraid he wouldn't get the jobs through. As I said, I understand why he wants to bring some of these people in. He knows them, he knows their capabilities, he probably has some confidence in their abilities. However, I think that the people of Fall River recalled Mr. Flanagan because of the fact of this kind of operation. And I think that if this would have been done in conjunction with maybe a reorganization and elimination of some other jobs, I mean permanent eliminations, not saying I got rid of the two lawyers when we know we're going to hire lawyers again, and we get rid of this. But I think that if it was part of a comprehensive plan, but it seems that he came out of the blocks with one thing, and that's to put his people to work. And I don't think that's what the people of Fall River really wanted to see.
Dan, are you out there?
I am, Richard. Good afternoon, and thank you sorry for the confusion, but...
Can you give us a little additional perspective on what happened at the, the ordinance committee?
Yeah, well, the item that the two positions were going to be discussed before the ordinance committee has been tabled. It was item number 3 on this afternoon's agenda, and it was tabled.
So, do you know when it will be brought off the table? Is there
Well, the chairman would have to call another meeting to lift it from the table. That committee is chaired by Councilor Jazio Correa. The other members are Paul De Silva, Danny Rigo, Pat Casey, and Ray Mitchell.
Okay, so...
And Paul De Silva was absent this afternoon.
All right, so it was in committee, tabled. It'll have to be brought up again eventually, and then that will go to the full council?
Yeah,
Well, once it's discussed, there can either be a recommendation to forward it as the mayor requests, to give it leave to withdraw, which would kill it, or to send it with no recommendation and let the full council vote on it.
Danny,
So-
what was the vote, Danny?
The motion to table was unanimous.
Oh, wow. You mean they got some backbone?
It works that way. Now, I
Yeah.
say unanimous, unanimous in that it was a 4-member committee tonight because Councilor De Silva was absent.
Okay.
And we know when you schedule a meeting for 4 o'clock in the afternoon, people don't come out, so.
All right,
Well, I
now...
also think that was done by design.
Exactly.
Okay, now, before this meeting took place, a week ago or so, now, was this something that was going to be engineered in a sense without it going before the ordinance committee or the city council?
Well, when you look at the city council meeting agenda for the last time, it was given like 4 hours notice
So in
to
other
appear
words-
on the agenda.
It
the full-
actually appeared after the full agenda was completed.
Okay, in front of the full city council, and in other words, they were asked to approve it?
Well,
No,
this-
they were asked to refer it
Okay, all
to the
right.
ordinance committee, which they did after the original agenda was prepared.
All right, so in other words, the process is going the right way.
The process is exactly how it should be.
All
If
right.
you want permanent positions of this nature, it has to go to the ordinance committee.
All right.
With the one exception of the fact that, as we saw with one of the major complaints with the Flanagan administration, was that everybody got all the material virtually right before a meeting and without enough time to study it. And
Absolutely.
and I believe the job descriptions came down less than 4 hours before the meeting was scheduled. And if you look at those job descriptions, they look like it took about 12 minutes to write them.
Well, from what I understand, Chip, and I'll stand to be corrected if anybody else has further information, but in my conversations with the city council yesterday, he told me there were no job descriptions attached to the proposal that's before the ordinance committee.
Correct. That's correct. I received copies of the job description a little after noon today, and Barry Richard talked about it on the radio that he received them right about noon today. So
Okay.
again, 4 hours before the meeting, we get the job descriptions, and these job descriptions are basically curtailed, written specifically for an individual. For instance, the special assistant to the mayor. A special assistant is critical, this is the reason for it, it's critical to free the chief of staff and mayor of time-consuming day-to-day tasks so they may concentrate on more policy issues and administrative matters. The special assistant is the mayor's go-to for any issues that need to be quickly dealt with and keeps the mayor on schedule.
All right, I don't want to go through all the.
That sounds like a
Yeah.
duplication to the chief of staff, and also I believe the COO would be a duplication, in my opinion, to the city administrator.
Exactly,
So,
and the funny thing is that the special assistant's job, one of the things that they have to be is assisting the receptionist with incoming calls, and he needs a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So for this administration to say that they've eliminated any positions, I believe is baloney and Swiss cheese.
All right, we're gonna move on to another issue.
Once we get off this hot topic.
And, well, this is gonna go on for a while, I can see that. You know, it's only in committee, you might say, and there's
Well,
a lot
it's
of,
tabled in committee right now.
yeah, so it's got a lot of life still to live. Now, let's get back to some of the old things that we talked about. And how about what about the windows? Any new developments in regards to those 22 windows?
They're see-through.
Yeah. Well, you know, they are transparent, but how they got there is not transparent so far. So
How they got there is translucent.
that's right. Yeah.
Not- So is it kind of dying?
Yeah, like all things, Flanagan, they seem to be just moving farther and farther out of perspective. You know, we haven't heard anything about any continuing investigations. We haven't heard anything about any further information. Like many things, once somebody is out, no matter what they've done, how egregious it is, the city seems to have this attitude, well, if a political figure did it, let's just forget about it.
They're untouchable.
Their statutes of limitations is about
3 weeks?
Yeah, maybe 3 weeks, yeah.
Boy, that's a long time. I thought it was more like 3 minutes.
So,
Okay, so-
you know, we really don't, we haven't heard anything, and believe me, normally we do hear stuff like this.
Yeah. All right, police station, there's a little something going on with the police station. You think there's might be a buyer to come about? It seems that the city is applying for some grant money to clean up the police station.
It's going to be interesting to see because from what I've been told, the city's on the hook for cleaning that all up. That's their responsibility.
Yeah,
and I believe that
city property.
And I believe the EPA in the past has already denied them
They have.
financial assistance on cleaning that up. So, are we just going to beat a dead horse until we can't beat it any longer?
That seems as though what's happening is that they're going to, or they have applied again to get some grant money to clean it up, even though, as you mentioned, it's city-owned property and the city is responsible for it. Now, the budget. The budget deficit, I heard today, could be close to $7 million. Is that correct, Dan?
I haven't heard a figure of that high.
I have.
We know at a minimum it's $2.8 million from the transportation shortfall that the last administration brought on.
Well,
So-
I think that's
Bob?
probably a conservative estimate, and I think it's, I think it's,
at least that.
I think it's growing. I think it's growing because we're adding positions again.
And not only
and
that.
you know, I know the mayor's count is going to be. I eliminated the two attorneys, and I have
But he has to hire two
paralegal.
attorneys
Yeah,
back.
exactly. We're not going to have a one-person law department and no corporation counsel, no assistant. I mean, you know, this is the old political maneuver. Look, these jobs don't cost us.
Why do you think it's coming out this way? I mean, the people were expecting something different. Why do
And you know, that's.
what are these
Richard,
machinations
because
about?
let us face it, Mayor Sam Sutter, okay, was duly elected in a historic recall election, but short of being the DA of this county for the last 8 years, he has no fundamental government experience in the day-to-day operations of running a city.
Is that-
And that's why you're seeing this.
Yeah,
that
and
correct?
Dan's nowhere near wrong on that. I mean, he's right on the money. I mean, before, you know, Sam Sutter used to get a budget for the year, and he would work within that budget. And, as he said himself, he was underfunded. But not only are we finding out now that our city
Well,
is
let me-
$7 million
let me
short.
bring this in. You're on a track to that. I agree with you. I mean, do you think it's just a whole different perspective? Here he is. He's a DA. He runs a department. He runs he's the head of it. His word is really obeyed and listened to. But now, as a political figure, truly, in a sense of running a city, you have all these different opinions, and you have all these different people, and you have these different departments. Was this something that he expected?
Well, the difference between being a DA and being a mayor is, as a DA, you're basically a glorified department head. That's your department, that's what you're responsible for.
Just prosecute.
That's it. But as the mayor, you're responsible for everything. You are under the microscope. And everywhere you go, people are going to say, Mr. Mayor.
So one department can affect another
Put
department.
it this way, Richard.
And he has to deal with the city
entire
council.
budget is about $268 million.
And then he has to deal with the city council, and he has to deal with the school committee.
Well, and apparently he needs a village, and that's the problem. As CJ has said, he's formerly been basically a department head. Now he's
And
come
right
in.
now, the village of people that he has around him as quote advisors, and some of the people on his transition team, in my opinion, don't have the fundamental experience to advise him on how to govern a city.
Well, not only that, I think that it's telling even in that little document where it says these are to free up them to do the business of the city. Well, you know, I remember the days when we had no city administrator. And the mayor actually ran the city, the whole city. And now we're getting more and more tiers of people to free up other people who are being paid to do their job. I think also at some point he said that the COO has to oversee these departments. Well, I made that question on today's show, our earlier show. Why do we need this? We have a police chief, a fire chief, a DPW head. These people are all department heads. Now, you know, he says maybe he doesn't trust them. Why do we have to hire a full-time guy to oversee them? They have a budget. If you want to bring somebody in to scrutinize their budget, make sure all their money's being spent properly, they're being paid to run these departments. We don't need to add 3 more people to oversee people who are being paid to run their departments. This is
Well, and fundamentally, Chip, over all those department heads is the city administrator.
Yeah, and now the COO, and then we'll have the
That's
CFO
why it's
and
a duplication.
we have he's come out doing the exact opposite of what this city needed. That is to streamline government, to reduce the number of, we are overmanaged, severely overmanaged, and he's come out adding a complete layer of management over the top.
We have assistant department heads that basically do nothing, okay? Some of them are driving around in city trucks with tinted windows, all right, doing their own personal business in it. And they're driving around the city. And it was a patronage job. Why do we need those 2 jobs? We have other departments doing the same. At one time we had 5 consultants to the treasurer, all making the same amount of money. Why? Because they were all political patronage jobs. If you want to...
And for him to say he's eliminated positions in the legal department, the 2 positions, the 2 people that he essentially fired, the chief corporation counsel and the first assistant, you know those are going to be backfilled by a legal staff that he wants to put in. So to say those have been eliminated is ridiculous.
And I mean,
Okay,
rumor
okay.
has it that Perry Long's job's been filled again. Now, if that's truly accurate, that Perry Long's job has been refilled, a job of doing nothing but going from neighborhood to neighborhood meeting and making tons of money, then I have to say, why? All right, because that's a patronage job.
Okay, well, the question would be that these jobs have really not been eliminated to save money so that these other hires will not go over the amount of money that was actually saved.
What happened
So,
to our
let me-
audit? That's my question.
Yeah, so in other words, it seems that there won't be any savings. Matter of fact, there'll be a greater amount of money spent on these people we're talking about.
Yeah, that's true, but also, why do we need duplication of effort? The COO is basically the same job description as the city administrator. When that city administrator's position was created, and I was part of the Fall River Regional Task Force, which basically spearheaded the reorganization under Carlton Viveris, that position was basically the COO of the city.
Do you think that, I'll play, a little game here, and
Gonna be devil's advocate? No?
well, do you think that this person that he wants to put on is going to be put on so Kathy Ann Viveris eventually can be eased out?
Well,
she's
maybe
under
someone-
contract through the end of this year.
Well, yeah, at the end of this year. In other words, at the end of this year, he doesn't need her anymore, especially
Well, then
if
if
it
he wants
becomes...
to, if he wants to do that once her contract expires, fine. Eliminate the city administrator position
No,
and
just-
bring in a COO, but don't have two people with two different titles doing the same job.
No, I understand, but, in other
Well,
words...
that's what he's got. If
And-
this goes
Well,
through.
yeah,
And he's
well,
turned
the
around-
thing is, the person he wants to put on now has no experience as a city administrator. So if he's working there, and he's got a year under his belt, he should know something. And then that would be the time to say, Kathy, I really don't need you anymore.
Well,
But
the
anyway,
interesting
let me-
thing,
let me-
real quick though, the interesting thing is, one of the people who's up for this position, if he is approved for this position, is willing to move to Fall River to meet the residency requirement. The other refuses to move to Fall River and says, I'm not coming here to work here and live here. I'm gonna stay in Rainham.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that, let me, now I gotta, Dan, hold on, I gotta move on, we're kind of running out of time here. I wanna get to the new group that you formed. Give us an idea, Bob,
Citizen Alliance.
Oh, it's not a new group. It's
Okay.
just being, it's being retooled and rejuvenated. Obviously, the Citizens Alliance for Accountability of Government, actually Danny and I, that was a brainchild of Danny and I sitting together. It has been around for a little while, but now we turned it into a PAC to assist in the collection of monies for the recall. In conjunction with other, groups that were outside of CAG. Now everybody's gone their separate ways, and we want CAG to continue being part of this political process, but now we're going to go into a nonprofit. So the fact
that's
is,
Citizens Alliance,
for accountability in government.
all right, and that's the name of your group?
That's the name of the group, CAG.
And that,
Yeah,
we're gonna
and
see-
sometimes the city makes us gag, but that's,
So what is your group gonna do, briefly?
well, we're gonna do what we've been doing now for the past 4. We're trying to be a watchdog and saying, look, it's about accountability in government. You can't continue to put layer upon layer of high-paying jobs while we're short of firefighters and short of police officers, and our tax money is being used to subsidize political positions rather than positions that deliver services
So
to the
why do you
taxpayer.
need an organization to bring this to the people's attention?
Well, we kind of organized to get rid of a mayor. It's good to have an organization. I think we found the values of
So
organizations.
you wanna
and,
have that organization in your back pocket?
Well, it serves as an informational
Will
resource.
you try to, will you be in a position to influence the outcome of things?
Well, hopefully we'll be able to provide information to the voters, and that's what we want to do.
But you do that already.
Well,
But this would be a more formalized structure, Richard. I would say that the organization will do what its members have been doing for 20 and 30 years, but more under a formal, organized umbrella.
So you're gonna have, in other words, you're gonna have a structure here?
yeah, we've already begun. We
Organization?
had our debate. We had the CAG debate. We had our first debate this year, and we plan on doing things like this. We plan on hosting during the regular election debates for city council, debates for school committee, debates for mayoral candidates, all this to provide information to the community. And obviously, if we can have an umbrella under which people can come, provide information, the best voters are the best educated voters.
So you're going to have, I understand, CJ explained this to me a little in regards to a 401c4. Do you want to expound upon this organization that apparently...
Well, we're going to turn it over to our attorney who's sitting on that end of the table, who's doing the paperwork. So, see, I'm pretty good at deflecting that stuff. So when it comes to that kind of, it's basically
CJ
I got him blushing. I got him blushing.
CJ never told me that.
Well, no, you've been pressed into service, Richard.
Sounds like the English Navy.
Yes, exactly.
But it's just getting tax exempt status and all that goes along with that, and it's more of a fact that we don't want to be perceived as a PAC which has got an agenda. If we're
Aren't you going to have certain issues that you promote?
well, we will inform people. I mean, we don't want to be perceived as a partisan group. We want to provide accurate information to the voters and provide them a forum where they can talk to candidates. We can get candidates in and use that as an educational tool rather than once you're branded as a political organization, they'll say, well, you've got your own agenda. You want these candidates. Well, we want to say what we want is good candidates and candidates that will represent the taxpayer.
Will you have meetings?
Yes.
Open to the public?
Yeah, ultimately, yeah.
And Chip wants to bring the House of Common styles of government to the United States.
Oh, good luck. You don't want to.
Maybe not in Fall River, though. That may not work. Unless we have a meeting in a place with no chairs.
So, in other words, this group, Citizens Alliance for the Accountability of Good Government, sounds like a mouthful, but it sounds
Of government,
like,
not good government. It's up to us to create good government.
Okay. When do you, any idea when you'll have an open meeting? And
Well, we're putting the paperwork together. We'll see how quickly our lawyer moves.
By the end of the week.
Well, let's say you get someone on the city council that just is doing things that is not good for the government, not good for the citizens. Will you be advocating?
Yeah, we've had a page for a while, Citizens Alliance, on Facebook. We've got a Facebook page. We've done it, and what we're going to do is, obviously, we're open to everybody. We have a proviso that anybody who holds political office or runs for political office cannot be on the executive board, but we will encourage politicians to become members, because if they're members, we have they'll be more accessible for us to ask them questions.
Okay, Dan, anything you want to say briefly?
No, I think my two colleagues have summed it up good, and I look forward to watching how the Sutter administration unfolds, and I'm cautiously optimistic, but I don't like what I see in the first couple of weeks. In many respects.
Any prediction?
At this point,
About what, Richard?
Well, about anything. CJ, any prediction?
at this point, anything can go. I mean, if this is the path that Mayor Sutter's going to take, I think that come November, or maybe even September, we may see a Bob Correa situation occur.
Bob Correa. Bob?
I guarantee an election next November.
You got some inside information? Come on, who's running?
There will be a candidate.
What's his name?
I will not venture a guess right now.
Okay, you see how it goes, folks? Trying to get transparency here, and look, I get rejected. So anyway, thank you out there for watching, and I hope to see you next time.